No, I was off. I thought it was 6. It was clearly 6:30 on the agenda, so. All right, we will call the meeting to order and start off with the pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have a quorum. We got the consent agenda. Just need a motion to approve the consent agenda, or can we discuss anything?
No, I'm good. I don't
I'm
have
good
any
as well.
questions.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor of approving consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, up next we have the 2024 annual financial report.
Okay.
Awkward
Either way,
pause.
This is our annual report that we have to enter in the gateway every year. It's got all of our funds in there, everything we spent, everything we brought in, type thing. Anyone have any questions over it? No, it's a lot. There's all kinds of details.
On page 56, no.
56 line,
Yeah.
5.
Yeah, no.
Yep.
No, I don't, you guys have any questions?
No, unfortunately, I flipped off the pages of it. Yeah, there's a lot of numbers there.
There's a lot of numbers. There's 103 pages of them. So.
Wow.
Yes.
So we just need to then we need to vote on this or just?
Yes,
sign
you
it?
need to vote that you approved this so we can submit it to you.
So we just need to vote on accepting that.
Okay.
And we'll-
I move we adopt the 2024 annual financial report.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
It's like the middle section. where they have-
Options one, I believe.
Okay.
Sorry, we
There's a
typically,
couple options on there.
we typically pregame who's talking what. This afternoon, we were a little distracted. There were puppies in the building this afternoon. It
Oh.
was chaos. Yeah, it was chaos.
Here's this. Okay, up next we have department head reports. First up is township assistance.
So the month of January has been flowing just like every other month. We've been really busy. A lot of people coming in, getting assistance. Did about 19 interviews for the entire month. I also included a nice little recap of the year for you as well. How the money was spent, divided between the categories. Here we go. These are our approval rates for 24. Breaks down by month, how many interviews we had, how many were approved, how many were denied total. We did 245 interviews for the entire year. Breakdown of housing by month, how much we spent, utilities. There's a number of assistance that we gave for the year. And just kind of compare requests and recipients from the last 3 years. There's money we spent per category for the last 4. Any questions about township assistance or how we spent the money or what we did last year?
One quick on the report, I forgot to email it to you guys. It has the transportation grant there on this.
Yes, so that was the last
That's
quarter.
Okay. That's what I
And
thought.
there was a bill that we somehow missed as well. So that now is the final total.
Okay, that's
We
fine.
will do an additional appropriation probably in March, maybe April.
Okay.
To get that money
Get that out of the
back
way, yeah.
and get it done that way.
I
yes.
figured it was something like that as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. You guys have any questions on township assistance?
No, I do not.
All right. Oh, yeah.
Human
These
resources.
night meetings, guys, man, I'm struggling here. Human resources.
Human resources, the month of January was a little bit slow, which I am thankful for. Jessica was out on leave and has been since November, so she is back now. So I'm very grateful for that. I don't have to do both roles all the time. So we were a little slow. We only had one new hire and 6 terminations. The terminations were just getting the camp staff off the books after winter camp. And then we hired a facility staff member to help them out down there at the pavilion. 24 year in review, you can see turnover rates are much lower than what they were last year. Parks is full-time staff only. I didn't include the part-time staff in their turnover rates, otherwise it would be a horrific number that nobody wants to look at. Some big highlights that we did in HR. We switched our long-term and our life insurance carrier. We also got an increase to our life insurance policies. Everyone's policy went up about $10,000 in their life insurance. All still while saving the township about $11,000 a year. So we held our annual meetings with our 401A and FIBA representatives. This started last year, kind of trickled into this year. We switched provider for our FIBA benefits. That's the voluntary employee benefit plan for the firefighters. Once they retire, they can use that money on medical expenses. We switched providers for that. The company that was dealing with it decided they wanted to get out of the FIBA business. So we found a new provider, and that is all up and running now. So with the new provider, I think the benefit will be a lot better for the employees once they retire, a lot easier to access the money than what it was in the past. We also added a recruiting and onboarding to Paylocity, which is our payroll system, making that system, hopefully everyone agrees, a whole lot smoother than what it was. So we also completed a sexual harassment training for all full-time staff. Any questions about HR or what we did last year?
You're probably this is a question I know I always ask. So on turnover rates, is it possible for, like, I know parks and fire, I know parks is challenging with the seasonal staff and stuff. There's a lot of variability, but is there some kind of benchmarking? Like if our turnover rates are high or low, which can kind of, is that so we can kind of then identify, is it a compensation issue? Is it a what?
We can look into that and see what the issues are.
I don't know, I always like to benchmark it against something. So.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of it was voluntary in the parks, at least.
No,
So,
yeah. No, I'm not. I don't have any concerns. It's just
how we look compared to everywhere.
It's just how do we look compared to others, and is it?
Yeah.
So we know too. Is there compensation things? Is there benefit things? If we see it out of source.
Yeah, we can start digging in and see if we can find some of those numbers.
And then maybe not. Maybe totally fine. Maybe really bad. Maybe really awesome. I don't know. You guys know that about? No. Okay. Question. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Parks.
In the interest of saving time, I won't dive too much into the monthly report. I'll go into the annual report. It's the green packet that I put on your desk. So I just wanted to highlight some of the things from that report from each of the divisions for the Parks Department. So I'm going to start with aquatics. So some of the highlights was this was the first year with our pool heaters that we installed. Because we had the pool heaters, we were able to actually open up a week early and did a pop-up pool party. And so that was really great. The community was really happy about that. We also increased our season passes by over $25,000. And then we also had an 85% employee return rate, which was excellent. We have not encountered a single pool that has had that type of return rate. So we're very proud of that return rate. As we get into PCAR Park, we added a second park naturalist this year. We also got a grant from the Park Foundation of Hendricks County to build our Glow Lab. So that was a big project that we did at PCAR this year. And then at the end of the year, we updated all of the animal enclosures to make sure that we are keeping up with our growing animals. And then we also updated the library at PCAR. Next is the programming division. So this was, we actually added a full-time programmer. We already had a part-time programmer, but we had a new staff this year, and so that staff actually did more of the planning part of the programming. And with that, we are averaging 33 programs each month, and we were able to hit all 6 categories that we provide. And then we also tripled our programming numbers that had come in. With youth services, when we get into camps, we hosted 8 different camps last year. That's our highest number of camps. We also, our staff retention for camps was about 78%. And then when we get into Explore Extended Care, we were able to increase the revenue by 20%, but we also increased registration. We increased registration by 20. Which we were very happy about. You know, we went into EEC this year thinking it was going to be the same numbers. They held steady all year round, and we're actually seeing huge jumps in those numbers. So that is really exciting for us. Not only that, we kept so much staff this year. We did not have to hire as many as we did the year before. You know, we're always, as we get more kids, we will add more staff. So we did add more staff, but we're looking at about 4 staff members per site. Some of our sites have 5 members, where last year our highest was 3. And then as we get into maintenance, maintenance had a huge part in the Glow Lab. That was a lot of what they did the first half of the year. The entire Glow Lab had to be retrofitted with a lot of electrical needs. And so the maintenance staff played a huge role in the completion of the Glow Lab. Our head of maintenance actually was heading up the project of the Explorer Barn, and he's been the one who is kind of coordinating all the contractors together. And then our big project that we work on was invasive species removal at PCAR Park, at Pock Woods, and also down Whipple Lane. When we get into marketing, we did have some changeovers in marketing. So what we've done this year is we've really tried to look at what we're doing now for marketing, and you'll see a lot of different marketing strategies moving into 2025. Some new things we want to try. There's some things that we've done for years and we just want to change it up a little bit. But we're hoping to be able to give you different numbers next year that we can compare to. So we're really excited about the way marketing and social media is heading. That's all I have for the annual report. I know I sent you. Oh, the rentals, yes. As we get into the rentals, you can see that the Pavilion Center is still at a steady increase. But something I was talking about earlier is, you know, as we start to add these new facilities, you can see those numbers in the Pavilion Center ramping up. So you can see fitness classes. We held 99 different fitness classes. When I host a fitness class, I can't rent out that facility. So you can see by the month numbers that I sent you, how that has affected the Pavilion Center. We're still up at the end of the day. But those are some of the things Stephanie and I look at, you know, where is our wasted space? How can we provide more? Some of those different things. So that was one of the ones I definitely wanted to mention to everybody. And then as you can see, we've got other rentals is the kayak passes, the Paul Park passes, our shelter rentals. Our shelter rentals are still steady. And then we've had a lot more rentals at our nature center this year too. Any other questions?
So, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up we have fire.
Okay. Immediately going through the monthly, as we move into the annual, I'm going to talk about the 17% turnover rate too. I can give you guys insight on that without doing a study. So there we go. Careful. All right. For the monthly report, I gave you an article that you have in front of you there. from Fire Engineering Magazine. It has Chief Porter on the front. Yes, they spell Avon as AVONE. It's French. No, but being the first fire chief to recognize the incompatibility between shoring struts and pallet rack forms. So we have all these tools and everything we do, but whenever you look at the warehouses, and the big danger in those with the warehouse fires was identified even through Walmart is the collapse, right? We always talk about it. We go in, you talk about the collapse of all those big towers, and even with all the shore, the construction being of steel construction and square tubes, you would think it's going to be stable, but as things start failing and the temperatures hit 1,000+ degrees, well, metal melts too, right? So, and I'm going to let all this stuff fall off here in just a moment. Yeah, there it is.
There you go.
Got it. So, anyway, as safe as you would like to think things are, they're not, right? So we have to have answers. And Chief Porter, during a demonstration, had identified a shortcoming that could be compatible with some of our tools that we have to give us a short-term fix to allow time for people to get out of buildings in the time of crisis. So I want to give him recognition for that. I did not put that in the report. So I appreciate his forethought. And, that's kind of what the involvement in things like Task Force 1, going out and learning things, having those experiences, and then bringing them back home. This is what those types of things do for us, and the investment in our people in that realm. So I'd like to look at that too. Anyway, going into the rest of the report, paragraph 1, we celebrated the retirement of firefighter and chauffeur Doug Dickerson after over 30 years of service. He was our first to 30. He left out of here with 31 years and just knew it was time. He said he wanted to go out while it was positive, while he felt good about things. It was nothing but positivity from him and his family during the event and during the fellowship afterwards. He's a hard one to lose. He's a good person outside of being a positive asset to the department based on skill and knowledge. He's had a lot of ranks in the department early on, settled in as an engineer. And we do appreciate his time and his efforts throughout the department. Being the first to 30 is a big deal. So, we haven't had many people age out here because, we haven't been in perf that long. And through statute as well, you can't be a firefighter after the age of 70. We haven't experienced that here yet. But Chief Huff coming in from training, he said at Indianapolis, whenever somebody would turn 70, the administration and the union would show up and say, hey, enjoy it, have a nice life, and walk them out and they're done on that day. So it truly is a moment where your career ends, whether you're ready for it to or not. So, but yeah, 30 years is a big deal. 32 is max in perf for retirement. So when somebody hits 32 years of service, they've maxed out the highest they can go as far as percentage in the retirement fund as well. We started our officer development series this year as our dedication to you all and our dedication to ourselves. We've been talking about, since I walked in the doors here, what do we do for officer development? What's it look like? How do we make Avon lead Avon? That's throughout the annual report as well, as you'll see. But we had a new member join our administration, plus the ideas within the administration, and combining our thoughts and ideas and needs with some of their insight and what they've been able to develop elsewhere has culminated in about an 8-month-long officer development course. And through that course, what we'll end up doing is we'll end up taking what's learned from these outside instructors and bringing them in, and we will start doing the training from within as we identify the officers worthy of doing that training and putting it on for incumbent and new officers. So what's an expense this year ends up being a savings over time where we begin leading ourselves and training ourselves. So that's underway right now. Our evolution to strive for development can be seen in all facets of our fire and EMS training. Aside from officer training, we already have over 20 outside training requests submitted in January from other department members looking to enhance skills. And that's January. So we're moving forward. Our people are energetic, they're enthused, they're wanting to go out and seek training, they're wanting to better themselves. Now that we're putting another ladder in, they're rallying and trying to develop to fight for seats that they can bid for to be qualified. And the more competition we can foster, positive competition, the more developed our people become on their own and from within. We're further monitoring progress, Station 143. I was a little bit tired today, and I've been complaining of a stiff neck, and I was going to see if Chief Phipps wanted to give the report. Then I noticed I've got Station 143 in here, so I decided not to let him. No, it's quality-wise, it's going well. There's been some setbacks and hiccups and a few choice words here and there, but it's moving. It's just not moving as fast as planned, but we're going to get there. We're going to be about a week delayed right now of getting people in, but we're probably going to be a month delayed of hitting the finish line of all of the amenities that they need to have some comfort and storage of their personal belongings and dishes and being able to just fully operate within the house. There'll be some inconveniences that we hope to avoid by moving them out of the house, but it could have been worse. They'll be moving back in March 1st timeframe. Yeah. So Station 145, we had some permitting issues with the state and WCCD. Yeah, that election for their board was just yesterday, but yeah, we've had some issues there. That's all sorted out now, ready to start moving forward. So we've been dealing with Garmong, and we're excited for that to start moving. We put the fencing up. It's been up for quite a while, where we've been trying to reach out to the daycare and the building owners. Melanie has sent them notices, certified mail, both entities. We've heard absolutely nothing. The only people that called us was the school, and that was an oversight on our part, not knowing how the school was involved with some of the daycares. They have buses that go in and out of there, and I've never even thought to contact the school over a private business. So it was just an oversight by us. Recruit and fire training, you can read that timeline, what the recruits did, what we're doing. Incumbent training, that's what we plan for them. Outside training requests is what they seek outside, what I referenced. Let you read that on your own. The training grounds, what's happened there, that's all part of the training report and under miscellaneous. So you'll start getting a more detailed training report each month. Now that we have a person dedicated to that, I'm not having Chief Porter pull double duty on multiple areas. So people our administration is starting to fall into their realm and really focus and drill down on our areas now. So that's been nice this year. EMS had a busy month. EMT practical was completed, 100% pass rate for the recruits. EMT final was successfully completed with 14 out of 15 recruits passing. You get 3 attempts. The other attempt scheduled for February. We've been doing AI on narratives with ESO and HRH, working with Dr. Schmidt. Brought on a new debt collection agency, along with changing our billing company. That all happened late last year, and then the collections agency was changed this year. So we took it away from MedBill, where it was a one-stop shop for everything. We've separated it to let them compete for their dollars and hopefully generate more revenue. It's going to take a couple months for us to see that trend. You'll start seeing financial reports submitted in this. You'll start seeing our revenues submitted. They give us full disclosure of everything, nice charts, monthly printouts. So we'll start pulling those for the record moving forward. So I don't know what to expect, but we're going to expect whatever it is together. I'm going to stay around 2 to 2.5 million, thinking that'll come in. And if that sustains as it has over the last couple of years, we'll start including more of that in the budget versus like 1.75 is where I'm including right now, just because we've hit 2 million, I think, once in the last year or two. So I'm not going to jump there yet. I don't know if that was an anomaly or if that's where we're going to live, but we'll find out with the billing company. Paramedic Julia Falk was added to our ranks and successfully affiliated in short order. I'm glad to have her. And then you guys can read the rest there. We have the Mobile Integrated Health Program. I brought that up in December. We're working through some complications there. We're going to have meetings upcoming with Hendricks, IU Health, and probably start bringing together some administrative staff to work through some understandings, viewpoints. I still think this is an area that can start generating revenue for the department we haven't tapped into in the past. Again, I don't know how much revenue, but I think it can be significant based on, the patients from not only IU, but also now migrating toward Hendricks, and then looking at other hospitals that have patients in the community as we set a model. Currently, Carmel's involved. They're coming down here to Hendricks County, and we've jumped up and said we'd like to be involved. It's already starting to trickle to Westfield. This same thing would trickle to our neighboring departments. No matter what, this type of thing is coming. It's just where the medical field's heading. But I'll update you more on that as we work through the details. The rest of the divisions, fire inspections and consultations at 157. Again, those are staying near record highs versus our past because we were only down to 2 people in that division. We added a person about a year ago, Tony Smith, who was also happened to be a long-term friend of mine, but earned his position here neutrally because I recused myself from the interview. But he's also, and rightfully so, he's become the fire marshal now for Whitestown. So again, just broadening his horizons. It was an opportunity, and his skills and abilities will be missed. We're going to look hard and near and far to replace him, but Levi, the way he works for us, him and Tony are still in contact, working together already, with Tony being up in Whitestown, and they look forward to doing some training together. So that's a positive departure there. Pub ed, let you guys look at it yourselves. And as we get into runs on the last page, we are at 786, already up 80 runs from 2024. Into the annual report. The first thing I start on, and I won't go through all of this. One, I'm not grossly prepared to go over it, but I'll stumble through this thing like crazy. I would ask you guys to go through it. We're going to have books. I'll have them in the lobby. We'll have them in public places and accessible for the public. We'll put it online on our website to make sure people are available, make sure it's available to people. I'll put it on our Facebook and advertise it should anybody want to look at it. But as you look at the message from the chief on the third page, or I'm sorry, page 4, the top right corner, it talks about overtime. When you look, we've reduced overtime 30%. So when you look at it, break it down by battalion chiefs and lieutenants, you're looking at 79 and 69%. So you're looking at a population of 3 people and 12 people. Engineers saw a decrease in 53%. That's another 12 people. Firefighters represent the largest bulk of our employment. They were down 10%. That's from consistent staffing. That's from finding people, retaining people. The only people we've lost as far as firefighters, we had Valerani, Petrie, JT, and Connie, and Doug. Connie was a medic, but they departed on retirement. Are we putting that in that percentage?
Mm-hmm.
So we had 5 come off the books in the form of retirement. That's a significant amount, and that's going to continue because that's why we're hiring and doing the laterals, is to fill in that age gap. We'll have more retirements this year, I'm sure. Yeah. And we probably have 4 or 5 more coming. That has nothing to do with wages and benefits. We are sitting in a good place. I would still ask that we explore it, and we can look into anything to make sure we stay competitive. But right now, our employees as a whole on the street are generally positive, and the reduction is because people have stepped up. And that was the statement I made in that paragraph, is in 2023, February, when I walked in, Jason Phipps and myself sat together. We looked at the backups, and I told you before there was only about a dozen. Now we're pushing 70-ish, 60, 70. People have stepped up in roles. So now there's redundancy. We have people qualified. We don't have to shut down engines. We don't have to shut down firehouses and all the things that were going on that may not have been brought up. And that also reflects here in now the overtime reduction. But when you look at medics, when you look at lack of retention, that's where you're finding the biggest departure. They went up 15% in overtime. Pay-wise, we're competitive. Benefits-wise, I don't think even comparable to a lot of places. Pay per run, we're highly competitive, extremely competitive, I would say. There have been propositions talking about what other places pay. I'll use Beach Grove, for instance. I think they pay more from what I've been led to believe. I haven't looked into it and don't plan on it because they only have 1 or 2 medic units. Not to create a rhetoric, and this isn't by any means our goal, but what I told the medic was, okay, we can solve this. We'll cut 2 medic units. We'll run 2, 1 on each end of town. We'll cut our staffing by 12, and we'll just run with 12 people and we'll double your pay. But you're going to run your butt off for those 8,000 runs. Well, now that's a lot of work, right? And that's not feasible because they'll be out of service more than they're in, and we won't be serving our community either. So the whole idea is proper deployment of services. It's one of those things where people leave where the grass is always greener, and then they end up wanting to come back later. And that's happened with a few people who've left here and gone elsewhere. So medics are our highest turnover. It's also our highest overtime rate. It's the only one that didn't show a reduction. And we're competing with hospitals. You're competing with 12-hour shifts that pay the same in a hospital setting as a 24-hour shift here. Many of our people that have left have cited additional time off because places have Kelly days. I can tell you the employees here at Avon wholly don't want Kelly days. Matter of fact, I've been threatened with don't pursue Kelly days. And that has to do with their pay, because there's a certain amount of built-in overtime, or what we're now referring to as FLSA time, because that's time that they're getting no matter what, based on FLSA rule on how you have to pay police and firefighters based on our work schedule. So as we look at our department, things are going positive, even with a double-digit retention, or lack of retention, if you will, 17%. Some of those have also been resignations that were positive resignations for us. Because if they weren't resignations, they would have been discharges. And that's about holding people accountable and having standards. So we've been moving into that realm too. And I don't plan on, for retention numbers, changing that until behaviors change. And right now, we don't have a lot of that going on. Right now, it's been generally quiet. The mood has been pretty positive. And I'll send you guys our one word that we put out. The hesitancy and the pessimism at first has turned into optimism through their words, and I can send those out to you all so you can look at it for the responses that they all gave. There's a lot you can tell one word response from an employee. So, and those are really positive. We were excited to do it. We had I think about 20 to 30 more participants this time around than the first time around. So much more participation in that. We're hitting the 90% mark of our employees that responded with the one word. I gave you a message from the union. I won't go through page by page. On our accomplishments on page 6, you can go through, and that just highlights every other page in this document, the 54 pages here. Those are just the quick highlights. If you want to read details of it, it's somewhere in the page related to that particular operation, where it'd be the operations chapter, the administrative chapter, or any of the divisions under each one of them. The org chart was the inverted org chart we had told our employees we're putting in the policy manual that's currently in our manual now. Moving over to page 11, under the operations report, Chief Porter has put in tons of goals, objectives, and statuses. You can look at all of those. He also went further after page 11. We won't go there yet, but he just put the objective and status on other operational objectives accomplished in 2024. I also put the overtime chart so you can look at total hours to go along with the percentage that you'll see on page 11 at the top. And the ladder picture is the new ladder for it. Moving over to page 14. The training report this year is probably 15 to 20 pages. That shows your training hours. Then if we move to page 17, split it 16 and 17, you'll start noticing where we stand as far as our inventory on the training grounds. In the past years, I've showed you guys breakdowns of our costs and expense, and I think the question's been asked, why do we put so much into that property over and over and over? Well, it's not just about having a house and 2 barns over there with a couple cans we burn in. There's a lot of tools that we house over there and that we use, and a lot of materials. The problem is when you walk in those barns, it hasn't been organized. Chief Porter, Chief Huff, and others have taken a ton of time and organized the inventory and looked at it. That's in the annual report, and the way this report's written, you can expect that to stay the same as long as that division stays intact the way it is now. Moving over, just trying to hit the highlights. There's a lot of information in this. I would encourage you to look at it. I'd like you to go to page 21, about halfway down. Sorry, Ashley.
Okay.
When you look at 2024 joint training use of the Avon FD training grounds, Plainfield used it 62 hours for those topics listed. Danville, 22 hours for the topics listed. Brownsburg, 24 hours. Pittsboro, 32 hours. And there were no others that we had over here. Our people were there too. They benefited from that training. It ends up being some mutual aid training cooperation. But again, Plainfield and Danville and Pittsboro, they don't have their own training grounds. They don't have their own training areas. Brownsburg does, and we've mutually used theirs from time to time as well. We've used Wayne Townships. So we do go out and have that reciprocated with others, but just know as we train and we start doing more hands-on, our employees will start reaching out to neighboring departments, and they're going to want to come here and train and play too. So our training ground really is a hub and a benefit to everybody around us. So, and that's good for our residents because they do mutual aid here.
Well, that's good for our ISO rating as well.
And our ISO.
Training counts. So,
And I did put that on our accomplishments with ISO training. I'm still waiting on their ISO rating. We're still waiting on that. So. On the recruits, there's a whole segment in here that tells you about the recruits, but I want to go to page 33. On page 33, you're going to start seeing the special details they had. I want you guys to look through the special details the recruits were able to experience with a funeral detail with the death of Wayne Township firefighter, 9/11 memorial service, which is ongoing and located in Brownsburg. They were able to experience a retirement ceremony on page 34. They were able to compete in the chili cook-off and win that for the township. On page, with that? Yeah. Chief Phipps got second, just he's a little sour. Yeah. Page 35, they came to a badge pinning ceremony. Also saw new apparatus pushed in and washed in when it went into service. The importance of that is, as we go through recruit class, we talk about all these topics. We talk about what it means to come into the fire service. We talk about honor, tradition, and respect of equipment, to take advantage of it and train, but also respect it, take care of it, and have pride and ownership. It's not often during recruit class that you get to live it firsthand and get to see it and experience it. So these guys, besides the training they received a lot of emotional experience as well, that we hope starts to live on. And I had a talk with them yesterday. Actually, the burning was this morning. I had a talk with them this morning. My days are running together. You can make an impact from any level. And that's what they were told. It doesn't matter if you're the recruit, the probie, a first-class firefighter, or a 30-year firefighter. Leadership starts from the day you walk in the door, from how you carry yourself, and then how you carry yourself on shift, and how much you immerse yourself in the traditions and the craft itself. So they're fired up. We're excited. We're excited about their graduation this weekend. Moving on to the last couple tabs, billing and collections is an EMS. I won't go into that. We will look at page 39 and 40. On EMS, that is our top 10 runs by impression and top 10 transport destinations. If you want to see where we go per hospital, per month, and in total, you'll know what we're going on. Traumas were exponentially up this year, 971 total for 2024. Our runs went from 5,200 to 5,400 as far as what we went on out of the top 10. But traumas were doubled, and I don't know why. I haven't asked Chief Weininger that, but there was a lot more.
It's kind of a weird anomaly that almost double what it was.
Yeah.
More than double, actually.
More than double, yeah.
Some of it's a little bit of the reporting process.
Well, it's like kind of when
It's
there's
been
something
updated.
change in the documentation or
Well,
something.
we've also had a significant increase in different violences and stuff. Obviously, the gunshots have gone up, the stabbings have gone up, and different things in areas. So it's
Okay. That kind of trauma.
as well as others, but
No, I felt my root trauma, that's.
The top 10 transport destinations, again, IU and HRH is what it is there. I mean, it's about proximity. Also closest, most appropriate with Eskenazi and IU Health and Riley being right there in the top 6. Essentially, that's everywhere we go. Deputy Chief Administration Report. Chief Phipps put this together. Again, you got the remodels in there with Station 143 and Station 145. Chief Phipps has really taken over the financial and budgetary management. He tracks every receipt that comes in and out. That's already done by the township, but checks and balances is a big thing, and we started that early on prior to Ashley coming into play, and we have our own method as well. The method we rely on is the one you see that comes from the township, but internally we're tracking as well. So before the township knocks on our door to tell us the spending is either out of control in an area or why aren't we spending money in an area that we budgeted for, we already know what those answers are. We're already tracking to understand where we're at and where we're trending before the monthly reports come out. But he's been pretty religious about that, going around and scolding all of us that don't comply, and they often find themselves with everybody's receipts before they turn them in. So no, that's been good. I appreciate him for that. Property inventory management, you've seen a little bit of that in the earlier reports of Ed. These are all areas that fall under the administrative chief and their respective division chiefs. As you turn the page, on page 42 there, you'll see the layout of Station 5 as one of the graphics. It's just there for you all to look at. That's a big project that's getting ready to to come out of the ground, so we're excited there. Again, I would encourage you all to go through the rest of it in detail. Page 48, support services. We've continued to trend where we're at on all of our rigs, and I'll start wrapping up here with this one. As we move over to runs, you're going to notice ladder 141, bottom half of the page, LD 141. It's at $43,000 this year in maintenance. From $14,000 to $29,000 to $35,000 to $43,000. We can say that's the busiest ladder in the county. That's really not a good bragging point, which is why we will be moving an engine to station 1, and that'll start happening with the implementation of ladder 4. But again, the maintenance on that rig, it's aging. We're waiting. One's ordered. We're waiting on the replacement, but they're 3 years out. These are things that they require some forethought. Otherwise, we're going to pay in maintenance what we pay for a ladder over time if we don't start thinking ahead a lot better. But you've seen before, we've already have our replacement plan in place. Playing catch up in some areas and proactive everywhere else. Engine 142 and 143 right above it, you'll notice the same tens of thousands in repairs. Engine 142 being the worst. Engine 143 had an anomaly in 21 with 22,000 spent, and then it's been pushing that $10,000 envelope. But both of those replacement engines are expected in May and June, probably June, right? The rest of any apparatus is because it was either new, the 17,000 for 1420, 1421. That's new stuff that was bought for them to put them in service. Those are brand new rigs. It wasn't because they were broken down or anything. So you'll see a significant drop in those. The next 2 pages on runs, 50 and 51. You can look at those, they're self-explanatory, but when we look at the engines on the top left box on page 51, engine 142, engine 144, and engine 143, 1,900, 1,700, and 1,300 runs respectively. That's a good deployment. That's a good proximity. Those are the things we look at on appropriate deployment of forces. When you look at our neighbors, sorry, Trustee Miller, engine 131 did 2,000 runs. Engine 133 did 1,000. Engine 132 did 450. There's a lot of kicking and screaming I'd probably be doing if that was our department. Not a good deployment of services there for the community. Just as far as proximity, they do a great job. They're an ISO 1. Being an ISO 1 community doesn't always mean you're operating perfectly. It's insurance numbers and actuaries. They don't understand necessarily the service and the responses and the roads and the hardships that you deal with from your station location. But we do take that serious. Plainfield, again, they're very similar to us. They have, 1,800 runs, 1,500 runs, 1,300 runs for their 3 engines. That's a pretty good deployment. But those are the things you want to look at. Are we utilizing our people on a day-to-day basis for what we're paying them across the board to do very similar work? Same thing with the medics. You'll notice the same thing for us. Our medics are very balanced. 142s is busy mostly because of one township there. That's a busy area by Ronald Reagan. Moving it south should have a little impact, but we'll talk about that in the future. On the next page, page 52, you'll see the map. That map, last year I just gave you a heat map. I put the circles on, those are station locations. The dark ones are where the stations currently are. The yellow ones are the station 145 is on the left. That's what's coming up now. Station 142 proposed would change the 2 east dots. It would eliminate the gray one at the top over there on the right and would move it south into a more densely populated area. And it would spread it apart from station 4 to give a better overlap. So they're not eating up each other's coverage area nearly half and half. The area that you see 3s, 5s, and 1s around Crestwood, 36, and south where 145 is going, that overlap we've looked at over and over, and probably for your day-to-day, that's a good overlap. There's a lot of schools there. You have East and Gray going in on the west side there, so 3s is bumping into that. If I was to convolute this and put the drive time map on it, we cover everything in our township except for the top northwest corner, and it's just a sliver up there we don't cover. But on drive time, we're getting everywhere appropriately, and we've covered our area completely with the proposed layout of our department. Then I have a department summary on our budget, where we've been, where we're headed, and then the 2025 goals. Again, the goals, you can look at and read yourself. I could go through them if you want, but I think I would exceed my time. I will get you bound copies of these. This is just for today because we just gave you a PDF. And while I was out running some errands, Chief Phipps had these printed and bound in-house. But I just wanted you to have something tangible, and I appreciate you guys. Sure they get done. Any questions?
Other than the comment, I had some free time this afternoon.
Yeah, you went through it?
Perusing Facebook and saw the T-shirt burning, so
Yeah.
thought that was neat.
It's been something that's been done here at Avon. I don't know how long ago it started. 4 classes ago. Yeah, I mean, it's single digit temps. I didn't send that one out to everybody like I normally do. We kept that one in-house. It's a big class. Some of them got a little emotional. Our people were there to support them though. So it's that culmination of them crossing that threshold and becoming one of us, but there's still a long way to go, right? They got a lot to learn. They don't know what they've learned until they get to put it into play, and that's coming.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks. Okay, no old business. In new business, we have resolution 022025-01 2024 encumbrances.
So these are our encumbrances from last year that we didn't get quite spent. It's broken down by the fire fund, the cume fund, fire cume fund, and then parks. I sent separately all the details, so if you had any questions, you can look through all the invoices that we've collected. There was enough money in every fund to cover all these purchases. We made sure of that before we even started this process. So, any questions?
No.
No.
Okay, just need a motion to approve.
I'd like a motion to approve resolution 22025-01 to encumber appropriations from the 2024 budget.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Next up, we have resolution 022025-02 2025 Township Assistance Guidelines.
So every year we go through our township assistance guidelines and just kind of update them. A lot of this is just clerical. I added our appointment hours in there at the top as they weren't in there. I did update according to the federal poverty guidelines for 2025, the income standards, the shelter assistance. We increased 1 and 2 bedrooms a little bit as we were kind of pushing those numbers with some of the apartments out there that we have been assisting with. So increased those. We called around every year. Yeah, ridiculous. We call around every year and just verify what they're paying for those, and we kind of take just the average and try to get it closest to the highest if somebody needed that assistance. But we pay no more than this for the bedrooms. The other thing that went up, again, clothing allowance, it's 180% of the 25 federal poverty guidelines. And then one other thing we changed, burial and cremation assistance. The place we were doing cremations at has backed out of doing township cremations across the board. It wasn't just us, it's all townships they quit doing at this nice cozy little rate of $500, which I completely understand that that's not covering their costs anymore. So we called around, we found a few other funeral homes that would work with us and do this with us. But again, the rate increased. So I went back and looked, and I haven't seen this rate increase at least in the last 4 to 5 years. So, and then we increased the burial assistance as well, just to kind of give that buffer. Again, that's up to that amount. We don't always pay that amount. I think that was the last changes that we did. Any questions about our guidelines or the changes that we made?
No changes there. Now, if memory serves me right, and this is for Dave's benefit, is that this, we approve it, and then this is sent
to the county commissioners.
Yes.
They, anyone that appeals any of our decisions has to appeal it to the county commissioners. So there's a hearing in front of the county commissioners. If they want to appeal our decisions, the commissioners then decide if we followed our rules, if we didn't follow our rules, and then what the outcome would be after that. We actually have one of those next week. First one, as far as I know, in a long time.
Yeah, first one for a while.
So,
Okay, with that, nobody else has any questions? Okay. I move we adopt resolution 02-2025-2, 2025 Township Assistance Guidelines.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any public comments? Okay, wishes to be heard. Welcome back, Chief Porter. Thank you for your service, past work long. Sounds like you just rolled in literally minutes ago.
About 5 o'clock.
You look wide awake, so I'm sure.
Started the day at Virginia and Kentucky. So.
Oh, jeez. Well, welcome back. Thank you. Any other wishes to be heard?
Just look forward to hopefully seeing the board at the recruit graduation on Saturday. This is going to be a big day at the beginning of what is hopefully a long and successful career for all of these individuals. So
That's great. Very good. All right, we just need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, next meeting is March 18th at 3:00.
Greg, you get your invite to that, right?